So look out your window for just a second.
Right, just take a look around.
Yeah, look at the people walking by, maybe a bird on a wire, the trees lining the street, or, I don't know, even a patch of moss growing in the sidewalk cracks.
Just all the life out there.
Exactly. But what if I told you that every single one of those things, you included, by the way, are all withdrawing from the exact same mathematically fixed bank account of life?
A literal zero-sum game.
Yeah. And that, like, if a new baby is born in a hospital across town, somewhere else, a forest literally has to die to fund it.
It's an intense thought.
It really is. So, welcome to another deep dive. Today we are exploring this incredibly provocative text from 2005. It's by a writer named Lifechanyuan, and it's titled The Transmigration of Life.
And it is definitely a heavy one.
Oh, for sure. Our mission today is to examine this framework that, well, it doesn't just treat spirituality as poetry. It actually attempts to lock the human soul into a strict, unbreakable spreadsheet of cosmic physics.
Which is, frankly, a profound paradigm shift. I mean, we usually treat the physical and the spiritual as two completely separate realities.
Right,
So-
like science over here, religion over there.
Exactly. Physics has conservation laws, but spirituality is supposed to be, infinite, boundless.
Yeah, like there's always room for one more soul.
But Lifechanyuan's framework forces the soul into a closed-loop equation. It strips away all that mystical fog of the afterlife and replaces it with, cosmic mathematics.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the math starts with one absolute rule. According to this text, if you strip away the illusion of the physical world, the entire universe basically boils down to just two fundamental ingredients.
Right. Energy and what the text capitalizes as life, like all caps L-I-F-E.
Yeah, but we have to be very careful about how we define life here, right? Because it's not biology.
No, not at all. Lifechanyuan describes it specifically as a non-material structure with spirituality.
A non-material structure.
Yeah. To understand the mechanics here, you have to think of it like the universe's foundational architecture. Energy is just, raw power hovering in the void.
Yeah.
But when that raw energy is absorbed into one of these non-material structures, these invisible spiritual frameworks, life manifests.
This is the initial spark.
Exactly. That is the initial spark of existence.
So the non-material structure is almost like a blueprint, and the energy is the building material.
That's a great way to put it, but it goes one step further. Once that life, that manifested spark, develops consciousness, that is the exact mechanism that generates the thousands of physical substances we actually interact with.
Wait, really? So the physical world comes after?
Right. The physical universe, the actual matter around us, is merely a byproduct of invisible structures combining with raw energy and consciousness.
Wow. But if this is just an equation, it has to follow rules, right?
Strict rules.
Yeah, and Lifechanyuan applies strict thermodynamic conservation directly to the soul. The text outlines this law of cosmic conservation that says all matter originates from energy and returns to it.
Right. Which mirrors actual physics.
Exactly. And then says all lives originate from these non-material structures and return to them. So the total amount of energy in the universe is absolutely constant.
Which logically means the total number of lives is also completely fixed.
They never increase.
Never, and they never decrease. Furthermore, the ratio between the total energy and the total number of lives is permanently proportional.
It's locked in.
Completely locked. The text even mentions a saturation point.
Saturation point for souls.
Yeah, like at some moment in cosmic history, the universe just hit a hard cap on the creation of these non-material structures. The factory permanently closed.
Okay, I have to stop you there, because while a cosmic game of musical chairs is a really fascinating visual,
It is.
this idea that there's a fixed number of players and a fixed number of chairs and no one leaves the room, they just, change seats.
Right.
But it creates a massive, glaring contradiction when we actually look at human history.
You mean population growth?
Yes, we went from a global population of a few billion to over 8 billion in the blink of an eye. So if the universe isn't minting any new souls, where are all these extra humans coming from?
Well, Lifechanyuan actually anticipates this, and the framework provides a pretty brutally mechanical answer.
Yeah, what is it?
It's the population seesaw. Because the total number of lives across the entire universe must remain constant, an increase in human population on Earth demands a proportional decrease in lives elsewhere.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. To put it bluntly, as humanity expands, the total number of animals and plants must decrease. The essence is just being reallocated.
Hold on, though. Biologically speaking, that just doesn't hold up. I mean,
Yeah.
humans plant millions of acres of crops to feed ourselves. And we breed livestock by the billions. The sheer number of individual crop plants and domesticated animals on Earth right now might actually be higher than at any point in history.
That's a very fair point.
So if we're expanding and agriculture is expanding, how does things math actually account for that? We aren't draining the plant world, we're multiplying it.
And that is the exact friction point where the text expands its map. Because the math doesn't just apply to Earth.
It doesn't.
No. What we experience as the physical Earth is just one tier of reality, which the text calls the mortal world.
A mortal world.
Okay, so if the math on Earth seems to be multiplying overall, Shuifeng argues we are actually borrowing life force from entirely different unseen realities.
Oh, I see.
We are pulling lives down from higher dimensions or dredging them up from lower ones to balance the cosmic ledger.
This implies a massive geography of transmigration. It's not just a binary heaven or hell situation.
Not at all.
The text actually maps out 10 specific spaces that these lives are constantly cycling through.
Yes, it's a vast hierarchy, and it's based on what you could call spiritual gravity. At the absolute peak, you have the Elysium world.
Elysium.
Yeah, just below that is the 10,000-year world, then the 1,000-year world, and then we arrive at our current tier, the mortal world.
And if a life degrades or, loses its spiritual frequency, it drops below us.
Exactly.
Down into the livestock world, the animal world, the plant world. And then below that is the nether world, the frozen layer, and at the very bottom, the inflamed layer.
Right. Those are the 10 main arenas where this fixed volume of souls is being endlessly traded and reallocated.
But the infrastructure of this universe is far more complex than just those 10 arenas, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. But Shuifeng also details what is called the holographic order world.
The holographic order world.
Right. And these aren't habitats. They are spaces of energy aggregation. Think of them as the administrative or mechanical zones of the universe.
Let's dig into the mechanics of those because they sound incredibly sci-fi. I mean, you have the zero world, which is explicitly reserved for the greatest creator, and the heaven world for gods.
Right. The top tier management.
But then the text introduces things like the cathode black hole body and the anode black hole body. How do these actually function within a spiritual framework?
They function like extreme gravity wells for consciousness. Take the cathode black hole body. It's described as a prison for senior lives. Entities the text actually refers to as devils.
The devils, yeah.
If a highly advanced life becomes profoundly negative or destructive, it isn't just sent to a bad neighborhood. Its spiritual mass becomes so dense it gets pulled into this cathode black hole.
Wow.
It essentially traps the energy so it can't infect the rest of the system.
So the cathode black hole is essentially the universe's recycle bin for corrupted files.
That's a perfect analogy.
It quarantines the malicious data until it can presumably be reformatted. And what about the anode black hole body?
That acts as a high-energy transit lounge. It's a temporary aggregation point for lives that are in the process of reincarnating between the major tiers.
Okay, so it's a waiting room.
Basically. And alongside these, there is a dream world, functioning as a manifestation zone where past and future lives intersect.
Interesting.
And there's also a highly specialized bacteria and insect world, which acts as a massive transmigration buffer for lower frequency lives.
If we accept this bewildering, hyper-structured cosmos, like if every blade of grass, every human, every entity quarantined in a black hole is just holding a fixed volume of the exact same cosmic water.
Right.
It fundamentally breaks how we are supposed to view our own mortality.
Yeah.
I mean, if we are constantly shifting between these spaces, what actually happens when we die?
Mechanically speaking, nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing at all. Within this framework, death is a perceptual illusion.
Yeah.
If life is fundamentally a non-material structure with spirituality, it literally cannot be extinguished by physical means.
Because it's not physical.
Exactly. What dies is merely the manifestation, the carrier.
The essence is immortal. The packaging is biodegradable.
Precisely.
The text tries really hard to shatter our human panic around death by offering these analogies. And two of them really focus on the mechanics of this transfer.
They do.
Let's look at the boat analogy first. The text says life is a river, and we, the eternal life, are trying to cross it.
Right.
The physical flesh is just a boat we rent to make the journey. We paddle across, and when we hit the opposite shore, we abandon the boat. We don't mourn the boat, It did its job.
It's a very stoic way of reframing the physical body as a temporary utility rather than our true identity.
There's another one too, right? The house analogy.
Yeah, dying is just moving out of an old, useless house into a new one. Or the candle and the apple.
Oh, right. The candle burns out, the apple gets eaten.
Exactly. Their external forms are dead, quote unquote, but their energy floats up or transforms into nutrition.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. I'm going to push back on Zufeng here.
Okay, go for it.
A boat is dead wood. If I scratch my car, I don't bleed. If my boat hits a rock, the boat doesn't feel panic, but the human body feels pain. We hold psychological trauma in our nervous systems. Our brains chemically bond us to the people around us.
Right, it's a very visceral experience.
So how does the text justify reducing a living, feeling human experience to abandoning a piece of rented wood on a riverbank?
Well, it justifies it by arguing that your attachment to the pain, the nervous system, and the chemical bonds is actually the core illusion of the mortal world.
Really? The attachment itself is the illusion?
Yeah. From the perspective of the eternal non-material structure, the nervous system is just the sensory instrumentation of the boat. It feels incredibly real while you are plugged into it, but it isn't you.
I see.
This is why Shufeng introduces the water cycle analogy, which deals much better with the mechanics of energy states rather than just physical objects.
Ah, the water cycle.
Right.
Like you leave a cup of water out in the sun and it evaporates.
Right.
The liquid form in the cup vanishes. So to someone who doesn't understand chemistry, the water is dead. It's just gone.
But the nature of that water simply transformed into vapor. It rose, hit colder air, and will eventually return as rain or snow in a completely different geography.
It's just cycling.
It is in a constant state of transmigration. If water actually died the moment it evaporated, the Earth's ecosystem would have collapsed billions of years ago.
That's a great point.
Shufeng argues the soul operates on the exact same thermodynamic principle. Death is just evaporation. Birth is just condensation.
And the text doesn't just ask the reader to take this on blind faith either. It actively tries to fuse this mechanical framework with worldly, observable evidence.
Right. The author really tries to ground it.
Yeah, Sufeng references previous writings that cite the reincarnation of the Tibet living Buddha, cases of regenerated girls who recall past lives, and even data from international near-death research institutes.
Which is a crucial analytical step for the author. What's fascinating here is they aren't treating near-death experiences as hypoxic brain hallucinations.
They're treating them as actual data.
Exactly. Through the lens of the water cycle analogy, a near-death experience is a mechanical event. It is the life briefly transitioning into the vapor state, observing the physical world from the outside before being pulled back into liquid form.
So it's observable friction between the realms.
Yes, exactly.
But, I mean, this logic inevitably runs into a brick wall.
How so?
Well, if this closed-loop system is real, and we have all been here thousands of times, evaporating, raining down, renting new boats, spending centuries in the plant world or the thousand-year world,
Right.
why do we wake up every morning feeling completely certain that this is our first and only time on Earth? Why is our amnesia so total?
Because the transfer between these spaces requires a wipe of the local operating system to function in the new environment.
A memory wipe.
Yeah. However, Shufeng claims the wipe is never truly 100% successful. The proof of our eternal transmigration is something almost everyone has experienced: déjà vu.
Oh, wow. So if I'm walking to work, listening to music, and I step into a new coffee shop, and suddenly all the hair on my arms stands up because I possess this overwhelming, undeniable feeling that I have stood in this exact spot before.
Yeah.
That isn't a neurological misfire.
According to this text, absolutely not. It is an instant memory.
An instant memory.
Yes. Shuifeng explains the mechanism. When your mind slips into a highly peaceful, resting state, like when you were just spacing out on your walk to work, your conscious defense is lower. And that allows environmental resonances from your previous lives, which are buried deep in your subconscious non-material structure, to briefly bubble up to the surface.
So you're literally recognizing the geography of a past life.
Exactly.
But there are fascinating, almost brutal rules governing who actually gets to experience these instant memories, right? Because it's a mechanical system, your past dictates your present hardware capabilities.
That's right.
The text says you're generally only going to get that eerie feeling of déjà vu in a human environment if you're human in your previous life.
Yes. A human-to-human transmigration keeps the memory files relatively compatible.
Okay.
But if your life was recently pulled up from the animal world or the livestock world to balance that population seesaw we talked about, you simply won't feel déjà vu in a city.
Why? Just because the environmental cues are wrong.
Because the sensory operating system is fundamentally different. An animal processes reality through entirely different sensory priorities.
Right, like smell over sight or something like that.
Exactly. If a life transmigrates from a horse into a human, the human brain cannot incompatible.
So, and I really want you, the listener, to process this. If you are someone who goes through life never ever experiencing déjà vu,
Yeah.
Schweffing's framework suggests a highly specific reason for that. You might have just been a squirrel or a cow or a pine tree in your last life. Your human brain simply cannot read your previous vessel memory files.
It's a jarring thought, honestly, but completely logically consistent within the framework, and this mechanism scales upward too.
How do you mean?
Well, the text addresses people who frequently experience mirages in their consciousness, or who feel highly sensitive to what it calls illusory spaces.
Oh, all right.
People who constantly feel a sense of profound disconnection from the physical grit of the mortal world.
The people who feel like they just don't belong here.
Precisely. Shufeng suggests that for these individuals, their instant memories aren't triggering from past lives on Earth at all.
Where are they from then?
They are pulling resonances from higher tiers. They might be remembering the serene environments of the 1,000-year world or the Elysium world.
Wow.
Their deep, unexplainable melancholy is literally their non-material structure experiencing homesickness for a higher spiritual gravity.
But Schweffing introduces a massive modern complication to this memory system, right?
Yeah.
A tragedy built into our current era.
Yes, a very modern problem.
The text explicitly points out that with the hyper-rapid development of modern human societies and our massive alterations to the environment, it is becoming incredibly difficult for anyone to trigger these instant memories.
Because the mechanism relies entirely on resonance, and we are systematically destroying the physical triggers.
Right.
If your subconscious holds a deep, resonant memory of a tranquil river valley where you lived 4 lifetimes ago, and that valley is now a paved 6-lane highway flanked by concrete shopping centers.
The cue is gone.
Exactly. The environmental cue that would have sparked your instant memory is eradicated. The key just no longer fits the lock.
We are literally concreting over our own cosmic breadcrumbs. The text insists that the higher your spirituality, the stronger your ability to feel the true nature of life, to recognize that death is just a temporary phenomenon and that eternity is the baseline.
Right.
But if we bulldoze the triggers, we trap ourselves in the illusion.
When spirituality becomes dull, we fully buy into the terror of the mortal world. We start believing the rented boat is our true self, and that when it sinks, we completely cease to exist.
Let's pull the lens all the way back on everything we've explored today. This isn't just a philosophical musing. It is a full attempt at a unified theory of cosmic mechanics.
It really is.
We started with the unyielding ledger of the universe, the absolute mathematically proportional quotas of energy and life that basically dictate reality.
And we examined the vast 10-tier geography of transmigration, learning how a population boom in the mortal world demands a harvest of lives from the plant or animal worlds.
Right, the seesaw. And we looked at the specialized zones, like the cathode black hole, quarantining corrupted souls.
We explored the necessity of redefining death, moving past our fear of abandoning the physical boat, and recognizing ourselves as the water in a cosmic cycle of evaporation and condensation.
And finally, we decoded the phenomenon of déjà vu, understanding it not as a brain glitch, but as the friction of instant memory. A brief, readable file from a past existence, assuming our current operating system can process it.
It is a framework that forces you to view your daily reality through an entirely different lens.
It really does. The next time you watch a puddle dry up on the asphalt, or you bite into an apple, or you just stand shoulder to shoulder with strangers on a crowded subway. This text challenges you to see past the physical shapes. It asks you to recognize that everything around you is eternal energy, temporarily constrained by an invisible structure, wearing a disposable disguise. The universe is just the same fixed number of players, endlessly changing seats.
It demands that we stop hyperfixating on the temporary manifestations and start paying attention to the eternal mechanics driving them.
And that brings us to a final, unresolved question to leave you with.
Okay.
Shufeng warns that our rapid, drastic terraforming of the modern world is actively severing our ability to trigger those instant memories of past lives. The physical landmarks of our past are vanishing under concrete and glass.
Right, we're paving over the triggers.
So if the total number of lives in the universe is forever fixed, but we continue to alter the face of the Earth beyond all recognition, are we systematically engineering a world where humanity becomes a species of absolute amnesiacs? Endlessly renting new boats, endlessly crossing the same river, but trapped in a world so artificially constructed that we can never, ever remember the shores we came from.